Hi, I'm Dr. Alexis Granite. I'm a consultant dermatologist and the founder of functional body care brand Junebird. And I am so excited to be here again with Look Fantastic as I join them on their mission to celebrate skin health, not skin perfection. And today I'm here with the fabulous Natalie O'Neill, and we're going to discuss everything K-beauty, which I'm so excited about because this is a topic that I know a little bit about, but I'm definitely not an expert. So for the people that don't know about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Natalie O'Neill. I'm a skincare enthusiast. I make content on TikTok and Instagram. Been using Korean beauty for about 15 years now, so I'm really excited to come on and talk about it, especially with you.
Amazing. We have amazing skin, so we can all
you.
take a memo. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, how did you discover Korean beauty?
It's actually my sister-in-law. She's probably about 5 or 6 years older than me. She was always into skincare, really into Carolyn Hirons when she had her blog. And it wasn't about Instagram, it was about skincare blogs.
Yeah.
She would just bring some back for me, and I was insistent on applying as many products as possible to my face.
Yep.
Learned the hard way that wasn't the best idea, and it's just kind of gone from there.
Yeah, I think when a lot of us think about K-beauty, we think about those kind of really complex 10 or 12-step routines, which I think isn't necessarily what K-beauty is today. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of how that, sort of where that journey has taken that sort of industry?
Yeah, I think Korean beauty has evolved in exactly the way you put it. Similar in a parallel to like Western beauty, for example. We went through this phase of discovering all the great things that skincare can do. And then we peaked and learned that doing too much is not the best thing.
Yes.
And now Korean beauty and Western beauty, still very different, but similar parallels in that we used to have this 10-step routine. People were applying 3 or 4 different toners to their face in one sitting. And now we've kind of come back to what feels like a better balance of applying maybe 3 or 4 different things in your routine, targeted to the issues that you have, maybe a little bit of extra hydration, and then calling it a day and usually having better results, I think.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And actually, one thing that I see quite a lot in my practice and that I hear quite a lot in sort of the beauty world, and especially in content creators or press and editors, is just that using many, many products, particularly many active-based products, can really start to wreak havoc on the skin. Obviously, we want results. But then when you find you're layering tons of really sort of strong ingredients, you can get that disruption in the skin barrier, and then that can cause all sorts of issues. I don't know if you've ever struggled with something called perioral dermatitis. Yes. So it's literally almost like an epidemic at this point, particularly amongst kind of young people who are super engaged in beauty. And that really goes down to that sort of disrupted skin barrier. You get like little spots and dry patches all around the mouth and even sometimes around the eyes. So I love the kind of idea of K-beauty as kind of going back to basics and really looking at that barrier. And from my understanding, I always see it as it's not so much the retinols, glycolic acids, the niacinamides, those kinds of ingredients, but more sort of natural-based, a lot, like you said, about a little bit about extra hydration, snail mucin even. So can you tell us a little bit about sort of what ingredients might sort of be highlighted in K-beauty?
Yeah, one of my favorites is Centella asiatica, sometimes also called Sika. Really embarrassing. I actually didn't know that for like a year, and then I was like, I put 2 and 2 together.
Yes.
It's the same. And I was like, what? How have I not known this? It's quite embarrassing. But yeah, Centella's a plant.
Yeah.
I really like it. You can get in Korean beauty. There's a brand called Skin 1004.
Yeah.
I also took me a year or so to figure out how to say that. I actually emailed them. I was like, how do you say Skin 1004? That's what they told me. They have a Sika ampoule, and there are other ingredients in it, but it's probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice way of introducing yourself to Centella. It can be really good if you have like rosacea. I'm sure you see people with rosacea. Although obviously, as you know, rosacea can be quite personal.
Yeah, of course.
But it can be like quite a friendly ingredient for sensitive skin or irritated skin, perioral dermatitis. I get along fine with that ampoule.
Yeah.
And I actually don't get along fine with that many things because of perioral dermatitis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially when you're doing sort of harsh exfoliation, all that can really exacerbate that sort of dermatitis. Yes, Centella asiatica is an amazing ingredient. It has adaptogenic properties, so like stress relievers on the skin. And I find that a lot in K-beauty kind of goes with that same ethos. Have you tried snail mucin products?
I have, yeah. I like snail mucin. I understand some people aren't that into it because it comes from a snail,
Yes.
which I do understand.
Yes.
And I think now that it's become more popular, they're finding better ways to get that mucin.
Yeah.
And I've also seen brands create mucin-like products
Yeah.
if you like the texture, but you don't want it to come from a snail.
Yes.
Which is understandable. I like it. I think I think there's a in skincare you often find popular products. People wonder if they're like, because they're popular, they're better than everything else. When in reality, snail mucin is just like one of the tools in the toolkit. If you like getting hydration from that product, you can do that. Doesn't mean that other hydrators are like immediately inferior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also quite a buzzworthy phrase. And I think, exactly, I think one of the interesting things that we're seeing a lot in the industry now overall is this kind of interest in biotech ingredients, particularly ingredients that come from fermentation. So that's when we use things like bacteria to kind of digest, let's say, plant materials, and then that creates compounds that you can then use as ingredients that can have these amazing kind of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. And it seems like K-Beauty has been doing that for many, many years already. And I think that sort of basis in fermentation is really interesting around K-Beauty as well.
Yeah, I notice, I actually forget the brand name, but there's several different toner pads. Korean beauty toner pads, so popular. And you'll look in the ingredients list and they have tons of different ferments. And then you look at the Western equivalent of that and they're just edging into that and they've got like one in there.
Yes.
And it's fine because, more isn't necessarily better.
Yeah.
But I do find that quite funny.
Yeah. I know things that have actually been being done for decades. And what is it about, I think when I think of K-Beauty, I also think about packaging. We have some here too, and they tend to be that sort of bright, poppy colors or the element of fun. Do you think that that's sort of an important part of that sort of space?
Yeah, it's definitely got the Pinterest factor. I have a skincare blog and I regularly look for aesthetic pictures of Korean beauty. It does just tend to look a lot nicer and be a lot cooler than the Western counterpart.
Yeah.
I think for me, the way packaging function is semi-important, but not like... If it's a good product and the packaging kind of annoys me, I'll still buy it. I can think of products that fit that criteria.
Yes.
But yeah, they definitely seem to have nailed like the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of specific products that have cool, more functional.
Yeah, I think sometimes too the way they dispense is really unique and interesting. Some of the K-Beauty products were the first for me to see where you sort of have a depressor and then a little bit of product comes out, so it's also very hygienic, which is really nice. And then I think sometimes they really are sort of leaders in the innovation in terms of reducing single-use plastics, for example. So if we're going to use pads or toners, they even have the ones where it sort of like sprays out of a bottle and then the toner, it actually develops a pad in your hand.
I've never seen that.
Wild. Wow. So you're not even having to use like cotton wool to put the toner on. So I think that is something that's very unique about some of the products that come from Korea.
I actually think you just reminded me of, this is not that new anymore, but I just recalled that applying toner to your hands and then slapping on your face, patting it on your face, we're not slapping it. That definitely came about because of Korean skincare, because we used to just die by the cotton pad. Yeah. Like I don't even buy cotton pads anymore. Yeah. Which you just think you would never stop buying them. But yeah, that technique as a whole, I think probably a few years ago that was introduced.
Yeah, it's funny because as a dermatologist, we don't, myself particularly, I don't tend to be a huge fan of toners, to be honest, because I think sometimes they can be quite stripping and kind of almost an unnecessary step. But I think when it comes to some of the K-Beauty options, which do have those ferments or the more sort of hydrating toners, sometimes they also mix really unique textures, like it might be an oil and water texture, which is quite hydrating. So I think in those cases, I can let a toner pass. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think gone are the days of the astringent, alcohol witch hazel toner that promises no blackheads. But really, how would alcohol and witch hazel tackle that anyway?
No, they're just going to create a mess.
Yeah. Just on the topic of packaging, have you seen the Dr. Althea grinding Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the better ones that I've seen.
Yeah,
and I
it's
just like that.
The innovation is amazing. We see it sometimes as well in aesthetic dermatology when we talk about treatments too, because some of the a lot of the innovation actually comes from the Far East, in particular Korea. So I think, and actually when I was formulating for my brand, I went to sort of a big, they have this huge conference, an expo, which travels around the world, but one of the areas is in Bologna. So I went to the Bologna version, and the Cosmoprof, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you been?
No.
Yeah. Oh, it's,
yeah.
If you love beauty, honestly, it is incredible. And what you were seeing coming out of, so it's actually, some of it's broken down by region and where the booths are, what part of the world they're from. And first of all, the Korean area was massive. I mean, just
like
wild. Yes. And just wild, just blows your mind. I think a lot of the sheet masks that are so common now, all of that is sort of derived again from K-beauty. Do you use sheet masks? Do you like them?
Currently, at the moment, I don't. There's a specific reason, but it's actually not something I would like to admit to, but I will. I did used to use one every day.
Oh, wow.
For a long time.
Yeah.
That's when I was going through, like in 2020, I used this moisturizer, gave me a closed comedone at every single pore.
Yeah.
Don't know why I didn't stop using it halfway, but you do make poor decisions in hindsight. But to remedy, and I also used to be a bad skin picker.
Yeah.
And I feel like if there's any skin pickers who watch this, they will relate to this, using sheet masks.
Absolutely.
It's like the only thing you can do after you've done the worst thing.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I used to use them every day. I currently, the reason I don't is because I've developed a couple of skin issues like perioral dermatitis, very mild sebderm, and there's something else, but to be honest, I'm losing track of them all.
Yeah.
But the best
of
way
your skin issues?
Pretty much, yes. And I've kind of learned that you just get older and you get more of them.
Yes.
Cool. But to appease that, I like to keep things the same. And my routine works quite well for me. So maybe if I'm I've got a wedding in July, maybe before the wedding I might do that just so that I'm extra hydrated.
Yeah.
But on a day-to-day basis, I currently don't, just because I'm also trying other products and I need to keep the playing field the same.
Yeah. So what's in your kind of arsenal? What is your go-to, your staples that you use every day?
So I love to double cleanse. Mm-hmm. I understand it's not for everyone. Yeah. I totally get it. Oil cleansers are really intimidating. Yeah. Korean Beauty makes some really great ones. I think I saw they've got Haru Haru. Yes. It's a really nice one with rice extract, I think. I understand oil cleansing isn't for everyone and it's intimidating, but if it works, if you can find a combination that works for you, do you oil cleanse or double cleanse? I don't. I tend to be quite breakout prone, so I don't. But I also obviously oddly have dry skin, so it's just that temperamental. It's a great combo. So I usually use sort of a cream to foam cleanser or a foaming cleanser, at least to get my makeup off. But I know some people love that texture, and to be honest, sometimes when I use makeup removers, I do use a kind of oil in water, an oil in aqueous formulation, which I do. It really gets through cuts through the makeup. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm almost too scared to use the oil cleansers. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And also with oil cleansers, you might have to kiss a few frogs. Yes. And it's not a fun process. Yes. I mean, for some people, they can just use whatever they want. And their skin is so parched that they can use it all. But yeah, if you tend to be breakout prone, it's a tricky one. Yeah. I love to do that in the evening just to break down my sunscreen. Yeah. Then I use a water-based gel cleanser. Yeah. The two things that do the heavy lifting in my routine are retinoid and azelaic acid. Yeah. Between those things, I feel like they tackle most issues. And the azelaic acid I actually only introduced, and there are some good K-beauty azelaic acids. I think I always get nineless and timeless confused. Oh yeah. But I'm pretty sure it's nineless. Yes. They make a 10%. But I love azelaic acid to keep my perioral dermatitis in check. Yep. But also just everything else that it does, which is very subtle, but really makes a difference. Yeah, it's kind of a great all-rounder. It helps a bit with redness and inflammation, also helps with pigmentation, as well as accelerating skin turnover, kind of the way retinoids do, but in a gentler way. Yeah. So it's a lot more tolerable for people, and particularly people who struggle with pigment. I love it as an ingredient. Yeah, I've got my eye on melasma eventually coming into my life because I just recognize that my skin just likes to do things. Don't manifest melasma. Yeah. Believe me, I suffer with it. Well, so I realize my skin notices when I get too comfortable. Yeah. So I think that because azelaic acid, I use a prescription one actually.
Yeah.
I think because it can help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just like keeping that
Yep.
far
Yeah.
away.
Good. Yeah. Keep it away.
But who knows? And then I think my favorite K-beauty part of my routine are just hydrating serums.
Yeah.
I love hydrating serums. I feel like if I had known about that 10 years ago, about hydration in general, I would have had a lot less skin problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we talk about trends like slugging or like pouring, heavy occlusives on the skin. People think that's what they need to do to hydrate. But actually, with the technology now, particularly sort of K-beauty technology, hydrators can be so like lightweight and incredible. And even if you are prone to perioral dermatitis or, blackheads and breakouts, you can definitely find a gorgeous kind of serum or even a mist that should work for your skin type.
Yeah, I like to do a mist and then a serum and then like a water-based moisturizer. For me, it's all about like as much water as I can
100%.
get in there.
And do you tend to get clogged or it's...
I used to until I realized why.
Yeah.
The retinoid for me does the clog heavy lifting.
Yeah, and also, you use that at night.
Yeah. The retinoid for me does the clog heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And then the other part for me personally for getting clogged pores under control was realizing that thicker, more like occlusive creams just don't really work for me that well. I wish that they did because I think they feel nicer.
Yes.
But yeah, just skin's a lot happier when it's just like water-based things.
Yeah, and you can absolutely layer those products too, and that's easier to do in some ways than using just one really thick emollient. It's hard to layer with that.
Yeah.
So and tell us, so in terms of somebody maybe starting out and wants to like dip their toe in the water in the sense of kind of the K-beauty world, is there anything that you would suggest kind of starting with?
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone can go wrong with hydration.
Yeah.
Like if there's someone thinking, I don't think I need it, you probably do. Like most people can
never hurt.
Yeah. Like no one's going to be like, oh no, you're too hydrated.
Yeah.
Like you don't have some more.
Yeah.
So a simple hydrating serum I think would be good. I think no matter what skincare you buy, just buy one at a time.
Yeah.
Just buy one at a time, introduce it one at a time. That way you won't end up in a situation where you're writing Reddit posts about why it hasn't worked out for you.
Yes.
So do you use Reddit?
No, and I love that you said that, honestly, because I see this all the time. I love the enthusiasm. They get really excited about starting a new routine and then they're using, 10 different things at once. And then, it goes a bit left of center and then they don't even know what caused it, what didn't. And sometimes it's even just the reaction of multiple products being used together that can cause irritation. So I absolutely agree. And I think it's the way to really know if something's working for you or not. So give it at least, ideally I would say 4 weeks. Sometimes it's even just getting through the bottle, whatever size it is, and just seeing and assessing at that point if you feel like it's kind of done what it needs to do. And then you can kind of add in your next product. But I think that's a much safer strategy than adding lots of new things in all in one go.
They don't want to do that though.
I know, it's hard. I'm not patient either, so I get it. And then, so hydration I think is great. I think sometimes we get questions too about, how do you know that you're actually getting authentic or genuine K-beauty products? Do you have any tips for that?
I think, just buy it straight from the bigger retailers. Obviously, LOOKFANTASTIC have got loads, more and more all the time, and then you can buy it from the brand. Just avoid Amazon buying from like an unnamed shop on Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if it's like wildly cheaper, then it ain't it.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah. Do you get, because you see patients still, so do you get patients ask for like K-beauty product recommendations?
I do, I actually get not always specifically, I guess, around K-beauty, but people ask for recommendations all the time. And actually I have sort of I change it every few months, but I have kind of a list that I'm always sort of looking at what my favorites are, and I'll have sort of categories. So favorite cleansers, serums, moisturizers, sunscreens, and then kind of special products, whether it's eye creams or products for the body. And so I'm always on the hunt for great options. And then what I'll try to do is, based on that person's concerns, I'll kind of craft a routine, a morning routine and an evening routine. And definitely I've seen more interest in these types of products, particularly products that preserve and boost the skin barrier. And I think that's almost like an underrated part of K-beauty in some ways. It's not talked about as much. I think people do traditionally see it as this like, oh, I have to do 10 steps. And really it's more about, like you said, being kind to the skin, being gentle, and really maintaining that barrier, which I think is honestly just something that we're seeing more and more, that disruption, whether it's from overuse of skincare products, stress, hormones, pollution. I mean, it's just rampant.
I think it's so unfair that stress and hormones can weaken the skin barrier.
Yes.
I think that's a bit of a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
like, do me a
stress
favor.
comes for everything. It's crazy. And that's why I think ingredients like Centella asiatica, like you mentioned, other sorts of adaptogens, functional mushrooms, those are all so great to incorporate in your routine in some way, because they really are going to tackle that stress from a cellular level. And then you can worry about stress on a mental level.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the sort of K-beauty world that you've been really wanting to try but haven't yet?
I've been suckered into watching the videos of the boba ball creams.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if you've also been suckered into watching that.
Absolutely. I love any sort of ASMR content. I just like can't get enough. I'm one of those weird people that watches like the extractions of blackheads set to music.
Oh, yeah.
That just causes peace to wash over me.
They have a TV show. That has a TV show.
Oh, I didn't
Dr.
know.
Pimple Popper.
Oh my! Oh yeah, Dr. Pimple. Yes. But those are a bit more gruesome. Sometimes, like the big cysts. I
You
like
like
the
a
nice,
polite.
gentle blackheads with the soothing music.
Okay, you like a polite pimple.
Yes,
popper.
a light,
Nice.
polite. I love that. But yeah, no, I haven't tried the boba cream. Have you?
No, I haven't. I'm just interested to know what's it made of.
Yeah,
Like what's actually in it.
Yeah. But that's, I think, where K-beauty really can shine sometimes. It's like not only can it be efficacious and sort of science-backed, but it just has this incredible like visual appeal and those textures. It really is quite amazing. So yeah, that has to be on both of our lists.
Yeah.
Not just to drink, but also to apply.
Yeah.
And if you do you have any sort of like desert island Korean beauty product that you just couldn't live without?
I feel like I'd split that between two brands. Purito is the first Korean skincare brand that I ever got into.
Yeah.
That I could buy myself, because before this, my sister-in-law was giving it to me because I was underage. So wasn't able to buy things. But Purito, I've been using for 5 years now. The Centella serum, I think, is probably the product I've talked about the most online.
Yeah.
And I see people mention that every day. It's a really simple serum, but
Yeah.
But simple is good. I like simple.
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
said,
absolutely.
I'm collecting the skin condition, so I need to keep it simple.
Yes.
I can't really afford to be trying, products with loads and loads of ingredients.
Yeah.
It just keeps it simple for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has Centella, niacinamide, peptides, hyaluronic acid, probably a few other things.
Yeah.
But I think, I use that twice a day. Just going back to what you're saying about the skin barrier.
Yeah.
I think you never want the skin barrier to be an afterthought. It needs to be like the first thought.
Absolutely.
Even when it comes to cleansing, is your cleansing quite stripping? Because then you're going to have to work overtime.
Yeah, absolutely, to restore. Yeah.
And the problems that come from that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people, like you say, they underplay how important that is, because having an intact, healthy barrier is like what can give you the glow that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if you kind of attack that barrier, then you strip away the glow, and you're just, like I said, working overtime to put it back to like homeostasis.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd say Purito, the Centella unscented serum. I always go for unscented, just because of the skin conditions. What do you think about scented versus unscented?
Yeah, so obviously I have my own brand, which is scented products for the body. And I think that is an area where, to me, there's a lot more room to kind of play around with scent and really have it be sort of part of your routine. Whereas I think for the face, I genuinely do understand how people have sort of sensitivity to fragrance and kind of, light bits of fragrance. If some products do have an odor, so they will have a little bit of fragrance in them to cover that. But I think it's not that you want to be layering tons and tons of fragrance on your face, because you really can sometimes cause some sensitivity.
Yeah.
Whereas the skin on the body is sort of thicker and hardier and is much more able to handle that. So I'm not against fragrance, but I think there are definitely people who have sensitivity to it, and we do need to be mindful of that when we are kind of carving out a facial skincare routine.
Yeah, I have no scent on the face, and then on the body it's like a bonanza.
Yes, that's
because it's like the only place I get much joy from.
And that's what I mean, and it's where you want to really have that joy.
Yeah,
and I think to some degree the fragrance almost gets a bad rap a lot of the times, because predominantly most people can tolerate a little bit of fragrance, and obviously, but there's a huge industry built around fragrance with perfumes, and but I do think for people that really want to keep the skin barrier intact, people that suffer with eczema and other types of dermatitis, it is best to keep fragrance on the face to a minimum. Right. And you said you had another, was there another brand or another product?
The second one was Haru Haru Wonder.
Oh, yeah.
I sometimes say Haru, sometimes say Haru Haru, then sometimes I say the full sentence. But yeah, this range, I don't know if I should be picking it up or not picking it up. Okay, I don't also, I'm feeling quite stiff. So am I not? What was I going to say about it? Oh yeah, so Haru Haru make 2. They might have more, but I'm pretty sure they have 2 main sunscreens.
Yeah.
I feel like if you are intimidated by Korean beauty and you've gone past the hydration, or your skin is hydrated enough, Korean sunscreens, they are hyped, but for a reason.
Yes.
They feel so much nicer than Western sunscreens. They do.
Yeah.
And if you hate wearing sunscreen, Haru Haru make 2. They make a mineral one and a chemical one. Both are really gentle. Both I find work quite well for my very clog-prone skin, although obviously everyone's different. Those 2 I feel I will always have. Yeah. They are unscented, so they smell like a sunscreen. But that doesn't bother me. I think they're such good sunscreens. Also, the chemical one is good under makeup, which
can be a challenge sometimes. Those they have a great range. I love all their products. So, and I think the sunscreen is really important because obviously it's something we really want people to be using on a daily basis. And you finding that texture is so important because that is what makes you commit to the ritual. If you just dread putting it on, then you're not going to use it regularly.
Yeah. So Korean sunscreens, the term that everyone likes to use is cosmetically elegant. They tend to have different filters, and therefore the filters that they've developed are just feel nicer on the skin. Yeah. Because traditional filters don't feel very nice on the skin. They're quite greasy, especially if you want to provide high protection. I'm not a cosmetic formulator, but that's my understanding. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think part of the issue with sunscreens that's tricky is just that in different parts of the world, different filters are approved or not approved. And actually we find that in skincare overall, certain concentrations of ingredients, for example, are allowed in certain regions but not in others. So that's where sunscreen can be a little bit tricky depending on where you live. But definitely the formulations that come from Korea do tend to have that elegance to them that just makes them so much more layerable, is that a word? Layerable than some of the more traditional, like greasier, richer formulations. Yeah. And I think this is also why a lot of Korean brands are making the US version of their sunscreen, and people are not wanting them. Happy with it. Yes. I know people that if they travel to France or they come over here, that they just stock up on sunscreens who come from the US because the formulations are they're a little bit different. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of your tips and tricks around K-beauty. Cool. Thanks for having me. And thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, any comments, any of your tips and tricks around Korean beauty, drop them below. And thanks again for watching.